Happy Friday. All week long, we've been talking about whether comparison really is the thief of all joy. Is it always bad to compare? And today, we're going to wrap up with the advantages and disadvantages of comparing our experiences and our ideals. So, first, let's start with experiences. When I say our experiences, that can be today to yesterday, today to tomorrow, yesterday to today. I'm really bad at judging past Franny. I'm working on reminding myself that she was doing just as good of a job as I am now. She was trying just as hard. Anyways, but I also mean who you were or someone else was, like your spouse or your child, who you were to who they are now, right? So experiences of a person, place, or thing to our experiences now. An advantage of that, really the biggest advantage that I can see, are lessons. We can learn so much from our past and so much from what we want in our future. So when we're comparing who we are now to who we wish we were, or who we wish our spouses were, or our kids, when we notice what we're comparing and why we're comparing it, what we discussed earlier this week, the lessons can let us know what needs to be healed or what direction we want to go. The disadvantages to comparing our experiences is disappointment. If you're consistently looking at how this current experience is measuring up to what you want or what you had, you run the risk of feeling disappointed and missing the beauty of now. And the second disadvantage is lack of fulfillment. When you're stuck in the past or waiting on the future, you can't be happy now. I think they say when you're stuck in the past, that can manifest into depression, and when you're worrying about the future, that's anxious, and that is not a state of fulfillment because your focus is on what was or what you want to be and not here. So those are the advantages and disadvantages of comparing our experiences. And finally, let's talk about ideals. Ideals are based on our past, our experiences, the society we grew up in, the culture we grew up in, religion, all the things that create your belief system, right? And these are the labels we try to live up to. The cool girl, a selfless mom, the Proverbs wife, a strong man, a macho man, etc., right? So an advantage to comparing ourselves to our ideals is a litmus test. Our ideals, living by your ideals and values is the best way to stay aligned. So when things are off, you know how to adjust. And then things are on, the second part or the second advantage I can think of our ideals is when things are on is fulfillment. So it's crazy to think, at least for me, to think of an advantage of comparison could be something as profound and huge as fulfillment. But when you're happy with who you strive to be and who you are, that's true fulfillment. When you are comparing yourself to who you want to be and you realize that those two things are aligned, it's a true sense of fulfillment, right? So the disadvantages of comparing ideals is first betraying ourselves. If you don't believe in the ideals that you're chasing, you're going to be miserable. If you are living up to them and you don't believe in them, you're going to be miserable. And if you're not living up to them, you're going to feel guilty for not wanting what you think you should want, right? So in Glennon Doyle's most recent book, Untamed, magic, amazing book, she calls these dirty pink bunnies. The things we've been told we need to strive for and that often force us to stay small and hide who we really are. So a huge disadvantage to comparing ideals is the possibility of betraying ourselves. Secondly, it's a lack of fulfillment. If you're striving towards something and don't ever reach it, you're going to experience a serious sense of lack, right? And if you're striving for something that you don't even want, you will and you reach it, you're going to experience a sense of lack. So most of the time, we compare unconsciously. We don't even notice that we're comparing the person in the mirror to our sister or our past self or an ideal. And it usually just makes us feel bad. But there are lessons, opportunities for growth, and good in there too. I think what really happens is that the comparison makes us feel uncomfortable first. Then we judge ourselves for comparing, before we even take the opportunity to examine it. Nothing in and of itself is good or bad. Oftentimes it makes us feel good or bad. But your discomfort is not something to avoid, it's an invitation to grow. Examine your tendencies to compare how and why and what you're comparing, and how they serve you and how they don't. That's all I have for you on comparison this week. Thank you so much for watching the Daily Huddle with me, Life Coach Franzani. Every week I pick a theme, and every day we huddle around a topic and how it affects our motivation, our ability to live by our values, and be the master of our own destiny. I'll see you here on Monday, actually Tuesday, for our to continue our conversation next week. Give yourself an amazing weekend.